There are two great movies out right now that aren't making enough money. One is Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider is a good video game movie. It is a good video game movie, finally. It's not great, but it's good. It's certainly good. And another movie is called Thoroughbreds. Thoroughbreds is a very good indie, interesting movie. And these movies don't get made as much as these bigger movies. See, these bigger movies out there, they make all the money. Like the Marvel films, like the super films, they're all fine. I like them all. It's just, we need more money devoted to these very cool indie pictures like Thoroughbreds. We need more money devoted to movies like Tomb Raider. When we finally have a good video game movie, no one goes to see it. Assassin's Creed did bad because everyone knew it was going to be bad. But here's one where people at least had hope for. They had more hope for this than they did for Assassin's Creed. A lot of people are saying it looks like it's going to be good. And then when it is, not enough people see it. I think it made 23 million opening weekend. We're only going to get terrible movies if people only pay to see terrible movies. You know? But short review on both of them. I think Tomb Raider first. No. Yeah, Tomb Raider first. I think Tomb Raider was good. I think as far as goods and bads go, Alicia Vikander is fantastic. I think she's an amazing Tomb Raider. She has the physicality down. She had the fight scenes down. They were very believable. They did not make her one of those women who would just beat up a guy because women rule and blah, blah, blah. She got her butt whooped, but she won a lot of these fist fights through skill, but she got her butt whooped. And it was great. Realism. She had an interesting origin story. They allowed a backstory for her. And the original Tomb Raider, the one with Angelina Jolie, did not. She essentially started out as Tomb Raider. This one started out with reasons to make her into what she's going to become. And she was out doing this bike service. She had a fun game thing where she was being chased by a bunch of bikes, showing that she had the adventurous and physical ability to do what she's going to do. And she had a personality to her. She was very driven to be a great fighter. She's very driven to be good at what she does. She just wanted nothing to do with her father's company. So she had a character to her. So that is good. The drunk dude that she meets, the captain guy, is bad. He sucks at acting. There's nothing interesting to him. I was very bored by him. And every time they cut to him, I was like, why? They cut to him to show that he's still waiting for her. And I'm like, boring. They keep showing all these Asian guys, and they're like, we're all waiting for Laura. And I'm like, who cares? Who cares? Move on. So he sucks as a character. Walton Goggins, I love Walton Goggins. He doesn't get as much credit as he deserves. Hateful Eight, Django Unchained. He's the best bad guy ever. But in this movie, he's very boring. He's very bland. He's only in this scenario because the company wants him to be. And his only motivation is to go home. That's a fine motivation, but it adds nothing to him as a character, really. He had no personality to him. He had nothing interesting about him. He walked around, he shot people who didn't obey him, and he was there to get the job done and leave. So he was very boring. There is another... See, I'm not going to make this spoilers, but there is another character in this movie that was interesting, and I liked that this person was in this movie. The video game violence, because they had moments where I would call it video game kind of violence. She crashes through a bunch of trees. She should be dead. She had a bunch of moments where you feel like she would not have survived the situation if it wasn't a video game movie. But overall, I think they had more realism than they had situations like that. So Tomb Raider is a good movie. It's a good movie. More people should see it. Thoroughbreds is a great movie. Thoroughbreds is a mile above Tomb Raider. Thoroughbreds is Olivia Cooke, if you ever seen Bates Motel, a phenomenal TV show. She plays a girl with cystic fibrosis who is the love interest of Norman Bates. But she's in this. Anya Taylor-Joy's in this. I love Anya Taylor-Joy. If you ever seen The Witch, she delivers one of the best performances in the millennia. And Split. She's in this, and both of them are very interesting characters. There's something interesting about Anya Taylor-Joy as a character that I think by the end of it, it's one of those things that you have to realize. And I think it's an amazing arc for her. She ends up being the more interesting character. But there are two girls. I guess they're formerly friends. Olivia Cooke killed her horse. So she's like on a type of probation. And they want to murder the stepfather of Anya Taylor-Joy because he is the cuck. He's a terrible human being. He's very irritated. He's egotistical. He objectifies her mom. He yells at Anya all the time. Which there's more to that than initially is laid out before you. So they develop a plot to murder him, to get rid of him, to eliminate him from Anya Taylor-Joy's life. And that plot involves Anton Yelchin. Anton Yelchin, the great actor who got killed by his own car because Ford had some defective cars that the stick shift wouldn't get put in park, and then it would slip into neutral, and he got ran over by his own. He got crushed against the fence of his house by his own car, which is horrible. So he didn't die quick. He died. They estimate like a minute of him just crushed in agony. So anyways, I just had to take a moment to think about him getting crushed by his own car. They want to blackmail him into murdering her stepfather. So you have this interesting dynamic where Olivia Cooke is a full-blown psychopath. Now, for those of you who don't know anything about psychopathy, other than what you heard in the most famous movies like Hannibal Lecter and Psycho and American Psycho and blah, blah, blah. One, Psycho's about a split personality disorder. He's not a psychopath. Hannibal Lecter is, and so is Patrick Bateman. But 1% of people in America, there's about 375 million Americans. 1% of them are born psychopaths. I relate to Olivia Cooke's character a lot because I have a theory as to why. But these people, what it is they're born with a personality disorder in which they're I think it's the prefrontal cortex. That's what it's called. Something fancy like that. It's a part of their brain that doesn't respond to emotions like everybody else. And some people are completely born without emotions at all. And that is the quintessential aspect of it, is that you're not a bad person. She makes a great point of that in the trailer. I'm not a bad person. I just have to try harder to be good. You can become bad based off your pre-existing childhood. So whatever events happen in your childhood, and then you have this personality disorder on top of it that makes you lack emotion, means that you could become completely just indoctrinated into the Hall of Fame of serial killers. But not everyone is, obviously. Otherwise, we would have 4 million people who are serial killers in this country, which means everybody be wiped off this country. So there's plenty more people who are born without the considerable amount of emotion that most people have. So that is her character. She's emotionless. Anya Taylor-Joy is seemingly very emotional and overly dramatic. And they're two completely different girls. And they have to frame a guy to murder their dad. So I think the dynamic is very interesting because this movie's a lot about psychology. And on top of the psychology, they have a very animalistic tribal music to it. It's this beats and drum beats and percussion instruments. And it's very interesting. And this movie plays out in such an interesting story structure. The only thing I don't like is because of that story structure, it kind of ends abruptly. It just ends out of nowhere. Realistically, how you'd imagine this scenario would end. But it ends so abruptly that it's over before you know it. It's very short and it just ends. It doesn't cut the black. It doesn't do anything like that. But it's just, you feel like you're halfway in the movie when it just ends. Because something just happens. So anyways, great movie. Tomb Raider, good movie. See them both, people.